What's next for you, then?
Good question. So the contract that I have with HarperCollins called for, it was a 2-book deal with sort of an option for the 3rd book. I think that's probably pretty standard. So we've pitched the 3rd book, and we're waiting to find out if they're interested in moving forward with that one. I probably don't want to say too much about it because I'm sure it'll change significantly, but it's very much inspired by I guess the climate of the last 4 years. There was sort of a normalization of lying, and not to get too political, but maybe it's obvious to folks where I fall, but yeah, there was a normalization of lying and kind of this I don't know how I want to say it, but it's just, there were a lot of things that bothered me and that I thought I wanted to kind of get upstream with kids about. So I didn't want to talk about politics or the parties or anything, but I wanted to get upstream. When I say upstream, I mean I wanted to get to the base things that I was seeing, like, if you lie about something or if you do this kind of thing, so the next book it's sort of wrapped up in, there's a gentrification plot line, and there's a lot to it. It's going to sound very messy because I'm early in the first draft, so it probably is very messy, but it's a story about a kid who really believes in his neighborhood and protecting it. And he learned this from a mentor he had that he no longer has, that he's very much missing, who taught him, that, hey, you take care of the neighborhood you're in, and, you keep it looking nice. So he's memorized like all the ordinances for his little town. It's not a homeowners association. It's like a city neighborhood. So he knows like the ordinances of the town and that kind of thing. And eventually what happens is there's this adult who decides there's a vacant lot that has a special meaning, and this adult decides to build like a mixed-use property on it, and it's going to ruin the whole neighborhood. So he has to fight that, and he's fighting also these feelings that he's failing the memory of his mentor, and so it goes from there. But it's a plot about protecting your neighborhood, protecting your neighbors, and there's a lot of diversity in it and so forth. So it sounds like I'm just throwing the kitchen sink in there with my description of it because I haven't worked on a pitch at all for it, but there's something there, and I've been enjoying working on it. Although it's been a little bit like the Super Chef came kind of easy for me in some ways. I mean, no book comes easy, but it was a ton of revision and all that. But a lot of people talk about their second book and for the first time writing on deadline and saying it was so much harder than the first book. I didn't find that, but I am finding this 3rd book for some reason, maybe because I'm still fishing for, everything that it's about, and I'm finding it a little bit more of a slog to write, but I know I'm passionate about it, so I'm definitely fighting for it. So hopefully it works out. But we've written, I've written enough of it so that we can submit to my editor, and I know that this is where it's going. And so let's see if they're interested in it. I hope after hearing this description, they're probably gonna be like, I don't know what he's writing about, but I don't know if I want to publish it. But hopefully it comes out better than that.
We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about it, and by then you're gonna have the slick elevator pitch ready to go because you'll have been talking about it for a year and a half, 2 years.
Right. It's good. I think it's good for esteemed audience to see this early process and know that we all have this stage where we're kind of struggling to figure out what it is that we're even doing, with this writing thing, because that's where I am with this book 3. But it'll turn out, especially if my editor buys it, because I know she's so good, she'll fix me up and help me get it to the right spot.
I am. And you issued a new book. I had briefly started doing research for a sort of QAnon type story. I thought, well, there's no way to do this without some type of politics, and I've had it. The last 5 years, I'm maxed out on that. So I said, nope, I'm doing talking animals. There's no chance any of them are going to be a political figure.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I mean, I really don't want to make it sound like it's political, because it really isn't. It's just about, what I think are basic things that I think every kid, whether they're the son of one, parents that are with one party or parents that are with the other party, I mean, these are things that I think every kid should aspire to, be better than or whatever. I don't know, but it's not political.
There's a lot of national trauma out there that's got to be processed, and lots of authors need to process the experience we've all been through. But man, we're out of it. Somehow we survived it. I'm still not entirely clear how we did, but by God, we did. So maybe in a few years, I'll start to reminisce and let me dig back into that and relive my trauma. But right now, nope, get me as far away from there as possible. All the sweet truth, please. Although there's a big pandemic in that one. All the fun stories that are gonna get me away.
Right. Well, even with Sweet Tooth, right? It's like I was reminded, because it's been a while since I read the comic, and I was trying to explain some things to my wife, and I was like, the whole plot about did the hybrids. And I'm not spoiling anything because it's all in the first episode, folks. So, but did the hybrids cause the virus, or did the virus cause the hybrids? Like, that's that sort of blame thing that I think, he sort of was writing before we got to this whole point. And I'm not going to get into politics here, but, of the same sort of, things we do where we say, we got to find somebody who caused this, who made our lives, worse. And then we got to go and blame them because this is what we need to do. And it's just like, I think at a more fundamental level, when you tell stories like that, you're not trying to be political or say that you should see that this particular person was wrong about this particular thing because look what I'm writing. But you're more just writing about, it's like you want to have a conversation with your readers. You want to say, here's a thing that bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe our conversation is how, and when I say our conversation, I mean, you're reading the book that I've written. We're not going to actually talk, but we're having a conversation. And maybe it doesn't bother you. And maybe that's the conversation, right? Maybe I need to learn why it doesn't bother you, or that sort of thing. So I think that's what you're interested in doing when you write, at least for me. I'm not interested in like telling anybody they should be doing this or that this person was wrong or this political ideology is incorrect or in any way. I'm just interested in the conversation, right? Like this happens and do we think about this and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, as far as direct politics go, I've discovered that, I can talk and I can say things that will divide the audience. And no one's opinion is going to be changed. I would like that to be the case, but if events themselves haven't changed your opinion, what could I possibly say that's going to have the effect?
Yeah, I agree with that.